Welcome to Ultimate Survival Gear. Today, as you guys can see, I have something else from Under Armour. Kind of excited because I haven't had stuff from Under Armour in a while. Let's see what it is. These are Under Armour Charged Raider Waterproof Hiking Boots. Check this out. Currently almost $180 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. They are pretty new on the marketplace, so not a lot of reviews yet, but overall I do like them. They are fairly comfortable, a little bit on the bulkier side. I mean, after all, this is a full size, obviously a little bit on the heavier side as well, but overall very comfortable. A little bit of a strange lacing system, but we will talk about all of that later in the review. So let's begin. As some of you already know, this review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival boots section. Basically, if these were not just your regular hiking or hunting or whatever kind of boots, right, work boots, but something bad happened and you had this in the house, you put them on, or maybe you were already wearing them, and now you had to survive. You had to walk for miles, run, fight, climb, I don't know, do whatever is necessary to survive. In these boots, would they be good for your survival? Well, how do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin. Criteria number 1, comfort level. And in order to test the comfort level of all the boots and shoes that I review on this channel, I do a 3-mile run, non-stop, and then a 5-mile walk, again, non-stop, through the different terrains, but we'll talk about that later. And overall, like I said, these are definitely on the bulkier, heavier side, which takes away from the comfort. But let's look into some specifics. First of all, of course, the weight. All right, now this is the size 10, and the size 10 is 20.4. 20.4. Now, 20.4 is not bad. Is not bad. Let me give you some reference numbers. If you are looking for something that is as light as you can possibly can get, right? If you're looking for something that's lighter, you're looking for something under 20 ounce. The more under 20 ounce it is, the lighter it feels. The more over 20 ounce it is, the heavier it feels. 20.4, I have to say, is not that bad for a full-size boot, all right? As you can see, it's only 0.4 ounce over 20, so not that bad at all. Do you definitely feel some fatigue after running 3 miles? For sure, because it's bulky, because it's on the heavier side, but not as bad as some other full-size boots that I have reviewed on this channel. Overall, Under Armour did a pretty good job considering how bulky the outsole is, considering that this is a full size, considering this is a waterproof. All right, not that bad. There are a few other factors that contribute, take away from the comfort level. One of them is the flexibility of the bottom sole. Here, as you can see, the bottom sole is definitely on the stiffer side because it is so bulky. So, on the plus side, it gives you some protection, we'll talk about later, but on the negative side, it's definitely makes it less comfortable, especially running. It's very hard to run properly in this boots because the outsole is not flexible enough. All right, let's look into the inner sole now. Now the inner sole, I'm gonna try to take it out so that you can see what's going on. The inner sole, nothing too crazy over here. All right, you have decent amount of cushioning, you have some heel pad, you have some arch support, pretty good. And once you remove it, you also have another layer of a little soft cushiony material, which is very good. I'm happy with that. Overall decent amount of cushioning, and that's definitely a plus towards the comfort level. Of course, you also have padding on the tongue, padding in the shaft, all right, and you also have padding going throughout the whole boot. Not as much on the inside of the toe box. I wish there was a little bit more, but still you do have some, so definitely a plus there as well. So overall, on the comfort level, I think it's a decent balance. If you specifically are looking for a full-size boot, I think comfort-wise it's a pretty good balance overall. Let's move on to the criteria number 2, proofing and protection. Now these are waterproof. Yes, nothing crazy, no Gore-Tex waterproofing, nothing fancy, no fancy technology, waterproofing technology or anything like that. But in my experience, overall, pretty decent waterproofing. And speaking of waterproofing, as you can see, there's a gusseted tongue here, which I am not a fan of. Check this out. So we have about 6 inches of gusseting in the tongue, but overall your shaft is about 8 inches, all right? So 2 inches of waterproofing that could have been is wasted. All right, so to me that's a little bit kind of overview, not overview, but underview of the design, kind of a design flow a little bit in a way, because you could have had 2 extra inches of waterproofing and it has not been implemented. So not sure why, but again, I was not designing this boot. If I did, I would have used as much of the waterproofing as I could. But anyway, keep that in mind. Still, 6 inches of waterproofing is still pretty good. All right, not that bad. But let's move on to the protection now. Protection-wise, we do have a little bit of a reinforcement here, not much, but a little bit extra going over the toe box. I wish there was a little bit more, because overall this is pretty soft. So if a big rock, not big rock, but a 10-pound rock falls on your foot, you're definitely gonna feel it through this. All right. Shaft, of course, you do have decent amount of protection in the shaft. It's nicely padded. The heel is reinforced as well, and of course you have plenty in the Vibram. It's a Vibram outsole, yes, a good Vibram outsole. So there's plenty of protection in the outsole. So overall, decent amount of protection. Let's move on to the criteria number 3 now: quality of the design features. Now, quality-wise, like I said, there's not a lot of Amazon reviews just yet. This is a newer product on the marketplace, so not a lot of reviews just yet. Again, check the link in the description below and see, maybe since I've made this review, there's a lot more. I don't know, but check it for yourself. And if you have experience with this boots, drop them in the comments. It's very, very helpful. But whenever it comes to design features, usually here to talk about the lacing system. And here, as you can see, it's a little bit weird. Okay, so first of all, you have 4 closed hooks, closed loops, which is fine. The strings themselves are flat and thin. I'm not a huge fan of these strings. I like the thicker ones, the round ones, but not a big deal. What is more or less of a big deal for me, though, is the amount of open hooks. 4 open hooks is a little bit of overkill. And normally I would say have 2 pairs of open hooks, maybe 3 pairs, but 4 pairs is a little bit of overkill, and it kind of makes it a little bit harder to put them on and take them off and lace them. So keep that in mind. If you're not that much of a fan of the open hooks, there are 4 of them here. All right, keep that in mind. Let's move on to the criteria number 4 now: outsole traction and stability. Now, in order to test the outsole traction and stability, I do run and the walk on a variety of different surfaces. Like I said, I start on the older asphalt, then the newer tarmac, then dry sand, wet sand, dry grass, wet grass, some trail surface, some rocky road, and some marble and tile, some concrete as well. Okay, so a lot of different surfaces. And overall, this is definitely on the flatter side. Not as much of aggression as I wished. They're a little bit slippery on the wet grass. Keep that in mind. So for people that are looking to use these as hiking boots and hunting boots, I wish there was a little bit more aggression. Just a little bit more aggression to get the good grip on the grass. It would be nice, all right? But because they're more on the flatter side, they perform better on sandy surfaces rather than slippery wet surfaces. Now, moving on to the criteria number 5, the temperature. These are not winter boots. They don't have any insulation, but because they're waterproof, you can probably use them in the winter. 6 inches of waterproofing is pretty good. So if there's snow, you can definitely get away. Especially if you implement with some insulated socks, you can definitely use them in the colder temperatures. Not a problem. But in warmer temperatures, they were definitely a little bit on the hotter side. Keep that in mind. I did my run and the walk in Florida here, 92 degrees weather, definitely on the hotter side. All right, obviously. So keep that in mind. With all the waterproofing, with the full size, definitely on the warmer side. But let's move on to the criteria number 6, the sizing. Overall, they're true to the size. Usually here, I recommend getting half a size bigger than your normal shoe size whenever it comes to your hiking, hunting, work boots, tactical boots, whatever kind of boots you're getting, just so that you have a little bit of extra space here in the toe box. Definitely helps, especially if you're walking downhill. Keep that in mind. But these are true to the size. Let's move on to the criteria number 7 now, the balance of application. So, if these really were your ultimate survival boots, would they be good for your survival? Overall, they're pretty good. They're not bad. If you prefer a full size, boot, if you prefer a lot of protection from the bottom, if you prefer decent amount of waterproofing, they are pretty good. The only thing is that you have to keep in mind that they are on the bulkier side, and you're not going to be as fast, as mobile. You won't be able to walk for extended periods of time or even run for extended periods of time in these. They will make it definitely hotter. So if you're looking for a balance, this might not be the option. But if you're looking towards more of the protection, these might be just right for you. All right, it definitely comes down to the personal preference. And the very last criterion here is the price. Like I said, the price is currently $180, $178 to be specific, on Amazon. The link is in the description below. A little bit on the pricier side. There's a lot of competition in there, a lot of serious competition from Salomon, Jack Wolfskin, La Sportiva, Loma, some serious competition in that price range. So unless you're specifically on these and you're a huge fan of Under Armour, you might want to look around. I do have a lot of reviews on this channel, so check them out. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think about these boots? What do you think about this review? If you have any suggestions, definitely, if any requests for the reviews, drop them in the comments below. If this review was useful, please consider subscribing. That definitely helps. And if you want to help me even more, please consider supporting me through Patreon, because that definitely helps bringing more quality content to this channel. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I appreciate your views, and I'll see you guys in the next video.